All right, so this is the one that I struggle with. So should I go obviously we're playing Ohio State, obviously a very talented opponent, and tremendous respect for those guys, having worked with a majority of them in my past. You look at some three of the guys on offense I know, or two of the guys, including the head coach, and a bunch of the guys on defense have been there. Some of the players some of the older players that I know, their defensive end, Tyquan Lewis, I spent some time with. So got a lot of respect and a lot of admiration for what they've done for a long time. Will be a good defense, not one that we can't play with or anything like that. So we're really, I think, on offense, really looking forward to the opportunity to go up against one of the best teams in the country and one of the best coach teams in the country.
Drew, obviously we know what kind of effect Tom Herman had on your career, but being at Ohio State specifically, Thomas Side and Urban Meyer, I mean, I don't know how much interaction a GA has with a head coach, but what did he do for you?
Coach Meyer, I had the pleasure and the privilege of having a lot of interaction with Coach Meyer. He's very involved. He's involved in not only the assistant coaches' lives, but the GAs as well in terms of coaching them and developing them. In fact, you're mandated and forced to develop as a coach. And if you're not, then what value do you really bring to his program? But tremendous value from spending time with him and listening to the way that he coaches, the way that he prepares, the intensity that he brings to the everyday process of college football, the everyday process of getting coaches and getting players to compete and perform at their highest level and reaching their, so to speak, their genetic potential. So my experience around him has been invaluable, and I think that Coach Herman would say the same thing about his time there as well. I've had the luxury, I think, of being around some of the best that are currently in college football, and I don't know that money could buy better experience.
Have you seen the imprint that Greg Schiano's had on the Ohio State defense, just in terms of pass defense and interceptions?
Yeah, they've done some things that are a little bit different than when Coach Ash was there. There's some alignment differences and things like that, but they're not a complete 100% overhaul of the defense. They still have a blueprint for what they do. There's some technique changes and things like that are a little bit different than Coach Ash did, but you can tell that they're a young defense that's hungry, and Coach Schiano's done a good job of helping that secondary and that defense be in the right position to make plays, and it's evident, and I think, in the statistics. The turnovers have been absolutely crazy from their standpoint. So I got a lot of respect for what he's done so far with a relatively young group. So,
Drew, when not that you, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but not that you prepare for a turnover, but they return so many of their turnovers. They get so many of them and go down the field. Do you have to make your offensive guys aware of that? Like, don't quit on a play if there's a fumble or an interception or something, because so many of them go the other way?
Well, first things first, right? This is it goes back to the third and extra long question. Like, what's your best plan for third and extra long? Just not be in that situation. But we talk. Every team, turnovers are inevitable, and you do your best to avoid them. Whether that's coaching ball security with the guys running the football or catching the football, and the quarterback, obviously, simply just don't throw it to the other team. In any of those situations, everybody has to know what to do in the event that even something unfortunate, a ball gets tipped up in the air for whatever reason, defensive lineman does it. That it's probably going to happen, and so you have to be prepared. We don't prepare for it like, hey, guys, when we turn the ball over this week, let's go make sure we get it tackled. That's not a conversation that we have.
Drew, we asked you about this the other day, but now it is official. With Janarian out for the season, how do you? How tough is that for you as a game planner, or play caller? Does everyone just have to kind of, playmaker by committee? How do you handle it, basically?
Good question. Obviously it hurts. Not only from, I think, just a schematic standpoint that your most dynamic playmaker is out for the season. But like I've said a few times, that kid was an emotional leader for our offense. He was a phenomenal kid and a phenomenal competitor. I can't say enough great things about Janarian Grant, aside from the fact, or outside the fact that he's a great football player, receiver, and returner. When we had our offensive unit meeting yesterday, we talked about it. I was like, that production doesn't just disappear. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden now that the offense goes from, well, however many yards per game, subtract Janarian Grant's impact. So for you guys, the Jawan Harris's, Carlton, Agadosi, Andre Patton, those guys, Vance Matthews, got to step into that role. And as a game planner, as an offensive staff, we have to do a good job putting those guys in different positions now to be able to fill the void that Janarian is leaving there in our offense. So we don't, in the same way that we talk about football games, it's on to the next one. It's the next man up. Somebody's got to fill that void. So yeah, it's more difficult without your best player, but we won't make excuses. We'll find ways to put those other guys in positions to be successful.
I'm curious, when you looked at the film of the Iowa game, that fourth down play at the end of the first half with Chris and the zone read there, I'm curious just what you saw with that. And then my follow-up to that would be just in general, like, what is it that you want your quarterbacks to sort of, like, what are the principles of what they have to diagnose in that situation of, when they're making that decision of pitching or keeping, like, what do you want Chris to be looking for there? And how has he done in that respect overall?
In terms of what we were looking for just strictly a numbers advantage, and we felt like we had one. And if you look at it again, you see we ended up 2-on-1 out there. In that particular situation, the quarterback's got to attack. That's the pitch key for us. He's got to attack the pitch key and force the pitch key to make the decision for him. I thought his decision was a little bit premature, and he was a little bit in a gray area, but he's got to eliminate the gray area by the way that he attacks the pitch key and get that ball kicked out to our pitch player. So from that standpoint, he doesn't have to think about a whole lot. He just has to know who the read key and the pitch key were in that triple option scheme, and do a really good job of forcing the issue with I believe that was Desmond King out there, the corner, if I remember correctly, and not allowing him to play both or force him into a decision where he loses leverage on that play.
Coach, you said the goal of this offense is to get the ball into as many different sets of hands as possible. With the absence of Janarian, does that philosophy adapt or change at all, or is that still your principal goal?
I think that it makes it stronger, if you will. You have to, if you got a guy like Janarian Grant, you want to find ways to get that ball. I think he's been touching the ball somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 20 times a game, and rightfully so. He deserved that right. So for us, it's going to be how do we get these guys in space, different guys, whether that be Jawan or the running backs or whoever that is. Carlton, how do we find ways to get those guys the ball? And yeah, more people are going to have to touch the ball now because you can't be as isolated or as fixated on the same playmaker that you have in the past.
Now that he has 4 games under his belt, I was just wondering, body of work for Laviano, how would you assess that? And then this might be part of your answer, but why is his completion percentage so down? It was 61% a year ago, now it's like 52%.
He's been a little high in terms of the completion percentage. You look at some of the accuracy problems, and that's something that has got to be constantly addressed, and certainly is not up to standard. I can't, to be honest with you, I don't know what they did in the passing game. I watched some of the tape, but I was more fixated on the offensive line than anything else. It could be because they did a great job of getting dudes wide open. Credit to those guys. It could be something that I'm doing. That's a great question. It's something that we're evaluating, I think, on a day-to-day basis with him and with all those guys. Remind me of the first part of that. The word that I would use is improving. It's not, I'm probably going to get blasted again on Twitter for defending Chris Laviano, but he's our quarterback, and that's fine. I'm good with that. He is getting better week to week. Is he where we want him? No, but you look at what the flip that he's been asked to do, and from a scheme standpoint. Do we want it to be better? Absolutely. And for all those guys in that room, we're going to play the best player, and who is that going to be? And so far, it's been Chris. And when I get asked about that question, or tweeted at, I should say, more often than not, there's a couple guys in particular out there. But that's right. That's right. I'm sure y'all deal with the same problems, same questions over and over. Huh? I haven't blocked anybody. No, I just just let them do your deal. Especially my favorite ones are the guys that have like 18 followers in the egg as their picture. It's like, oh, I appreciate it. Yeah. It's like, oh, I see you got a great repertoire here of things you can go with. Good. But we're looking for a guy that can continue and improve. And I think from everybody from that room, Tylen's got to improve. Zach's got to improve. Gio's got to improve. Are we there? Are we there yet as a unit, quarterback unit? No, and that's on me to keep pushing those guys. And I think the fact that it's been competitive has helped. But the word that I would still use is improving. Is he there to the standard that we expect? No, but getting better.
Drew, what do you think it'll be like this week for Chris going back to Ohio State? And given the personality, at least that we've been around a little, do you think we'll even know what he's thinking or feeling?
If you know, let me know. No, he's a bit of a he's open and closed a little bit in the way that he responds. He's been really good with me, I think, recently, and dealing with all of the the emotions of going in and out of some of these, especially in conference games. And so I don't think that I think he's going to be relatively reserved for the most part, I think, going into this game. But I don't think, to be honest with you, he hasn't treated any of these games any differently than the last. So I think he's going to be pretty consistent in terms of being relatively closed off and trying to be focused on what we're going to ask him to do.
Coach, with Janarian being out, does the Wildcat remain? Is it still part of the offense, or was that specific more to his skill set?
At that time, it was really specific to his skill set. I'm sure that there's a couple other dudes. I've had even guys like Miles Nash be like, Coach, I used to play quarterback. Like, get me in there to that Wildcat. And I was like, well, why don't we figure out you guys on defense and all that kind of stuff. So I know there's a few guys that want to do it. If it fits, certainly, we gotta find the right guy. It's got to be the right guy's got to be that person to do it. There's a lot that kind of goes into that. So I think it's something we're definitely going to continue to explore, though.
Hey, Drew, from your experience, can guys rally around an injury like Janarian has had, losing a guy like that, and essentially take their game to another level?
I sure hope so. I mean, you look at somebody that what did Janarian give to us, and we look at it from that perspective. It's not he was part of our family, a part of our unit, and he on a tremendous play. You look at the play that he went down on and what he was doing on that football play. I sure hope so, and I think so. I think you saw a bunch of his. I was trying to find the whiteouts at halftime, and they were all in the doctor's office. Holding his hand, telling him he's going to be all right and it's going to be good. So that unit cares about him. His coach, Coach Williams, was beat up. Was at the hospital with him. There's dudes. A bunch of the wideouts at the hospital with him. So I think they will, and I think that we as an offense, and especially the wide receiver unit by itself, we owe it to him a little bit for what he gave back to us, in terms of production. And I think ultimately this season, he gave his season for us on a fantastic run. And if not that you want to lose anybody, but wow, I mean, what a crazy play and awesome display of what he was capable of on his last one. It's better than going out on say a sack or something like that. Appreciate you guys, man.